Good evening, everybody. I am Mike Asherbrander, the proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business. And I have with me somebody who might not be with me soon, Dr. Constance Leland of Level Up Academy, our publicity hub queen. How are you today?
Them fighting words, right? He's hating
It
my
is.
guts, guys, because I have my lovely hat that he's been begging to have, and it's one and only. Like, what? How rude! What are we doing today, Mike? What are we doing, bro?
Well, today we have a special guest, special panel, and the audience are always special, and they get to interact. So we're going to talk to the one and only Chris Ruden. Oh man, this guy, he is ultra. He's a real guy. That's why we like. I mean, that's what we deal with, right? With real people, overcome adversity, and really just makes a huge impact in people's lives. Helps them speak better, be better, get unstuck. I mean, oh wow, not just an academic. This guy's a practitioner, right? Just like you. So I cannot wait. It's a special treat. And we got to give a shout out to our other sponsor, right? Level Up and CJ. Thank you for sponsoring this, pushing this out, promoting it. You're amazing. And also have to thank the one and only Tanya Eberhard of BrandFace for making the introduction. And that's how we met Chris. He was on her show. We came in, and then the hounds just went crazy. So I'm like, well, we got to do this formally now, right? So, and people were having little pictures of his book and all this stuff. And man, I got all these books. This one was really good, right? Because he wrote this book to give back, right? Not just to sell a book. Chris's style is I want to give back, right? He learned stuff, people helped him, and now he's here to help others. And not since PB and J was put in the same jar, man, has there been such a good fit, right? So, what do you think? You ready to roll the intro, or you got something to say? Like you're gonna mail me that hat?
No, it's never gonna happen. I might put it in auction though, because now you have competition. Matt wanted this hat today too, so I don't know.
Oh, I told him. I said, grasshopper, you're not. He's got to. If I can't get the hat, he better not get it. Boy, if he showed up with that hat, oh
Oh,
man,
it's
World
gonna
War
be
Three. All
really
right,
fighting words. I just wanted to say that I had a chance to talk to Chris via Zoom one on one, and he's an amazing human being. You know how to pick people in terms of like who aligns with soul hearted and passionate people. I see that he turned his pain, his adversity into passion and purpose. So I'm really loving that. So let's roll the intro and get Chris on and everybody else.
let's do it. How about I miss my traditional intro, but I really would love to show the hounds, uh, new hounds video. Thank you, Jen Lin. Let's roll that one. Everybody knows what this is. Let's roll that one, and then we'll pull everybody on about it.
Might be in a bit of a pickle. Don't you worry about a thing. You ain't alone in this. You're just a success story waiting to happen. Trust me on that. Every bump in the road is just an opportunity wearing a clever disguise. Welcome to the Hounds of Business Community, where we don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs. Nope. We turn those obstacles into mighty fine stepping stones. This here's a place where high-level entrepreneurs and sharp professionals gather to grow their businesses and mindsets, kind of like how a good old gumbo needs the right ingredients to be something special. Ideas thrive here, and collaborations? Well, they're as natural as sweet tea on a hot day. Success? It's a journey, and we're fixing to walk that road right beside you. Now, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for all the latest tips and insights. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that'll keep you ahead of the game. And while you're at it, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got ourselves a treasure trove of videos, from expert interviews to webinars, everything you need to stay sharp in this fast-moving world of business. The Hounds of Business Community? Well, we ain't just a network, we're a movement. So why not come on and be part of something bigger? Join us today and let's turn your business journey into a real Southern success story. Together, we'll achieve greatness, just like crawfish and singing on a Friday night.
Craw- Crawfish and singing on a Saturday night. So Jen Lin, all right, we got to give her props. She does and I haven't even checked this, guys. I see the behind the stage. She did her mic impression and used AI. It's so fun. Like, and people are like, "Is that you? Were you angry?" I'm like, "Wow, dude." So thank you for cleaning that up, Jen Lin, and that was fantastic. So everybody, want to introduce the one and only Chris Ruden. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Absolutely. You got to be tired, man. You have been running like weeks after weeks. People, book launches, parties, all kind of stuff, my friend. So if you don't mind, give us a little backdrop. You got a great story. I want the folks to hear it as we set it up. Folks in the comments, we're going to get to what we're going to do is we're just going to sit down, ask questions, have a panel discussion, but please ask questions, make comments, share your experiences in the chat. We love that. Appreciate you being here, and we'll do our best to get to all the questions. So, Chris, please introduce yourself, my friend.
Absolutely. So, I was born differently. You know, I was born permanently attractive. At least that's what my mom tells me. I was born, I was born with a physical disability, and at 19, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So, my entire life, I kind of felt like a monster. I felt what society called me. I felt broken, and it took me 17 years of hiding my disability to get to the point where I was like, there has to be more to life than what life has given me. There has to be something else. And there is. And I found it through a lot of hard work and struggle and all that. But in the process, I came up with some lessons that helped me get to the point where I'm at now. To date, I am the only 7-fingered type 1 diabetic world record holding power lifter, motivational speaker, person on the TV show with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Titan Games, and People Magazine, all that, and donut connoisseur that you probably know. And if not, let me know, because that's my very long tagline on my website. So, it's my job to help people see their world without limits. And I do that with organizations, with individuals, with speakers, and everything in between, because I just vow to be the person I never had growing up. So I'm here to give back tonight, help people work through problems that maybe they're feeling stuck, maybe they're working through struggle, or maybe there's the problem behind the problem that we need to see before we can face it and fix it. Regardless, I'm here for it all.
Hey, I'm gonna have CJ ask the first question, but I want to let everybody know I love this guy because you never hear a cheap infomercial. He's like us. He's like me. You just give people good stuff, and if they need it, they'll come back, right? Like there's value there, man. You're the realest guy. So CJ, you got the first question to start off with Chris, and then the panel chime in.
Awesome. Can you hear me first of all?
Good to go.
All right. Kelly, thank you so much. See, Kelly likes my hat too. All right, Chris, thank you so much for coming into HOB. Can you walk us through your journey of like writing your book and publishing your first book? What surprised you most about the process?
So I originally wrote a book before this, which was called The Upper Hand, and it was about overcoming adversity. It was with a smaller publisher. This go around, my main goal was to work with this bigger publisher and really grow this new message, because what I found was most people are struggling with feeling stuck. They want to change in their life, they just don't know how to. They're in this purgatory that's not as good as they want it to be, but it's not bad enough to actually make a change. So my job was to help people, give them a system or a step-by-step on how to go from where you are, feeling completely stuck, feeling like you can't do anything, to getting to where you actually want to go in life, whether that's health, wealth, or relationships, any one of those categories. I created a process to do that. It took me over a year to write, and because I'm a speaker, I actually spoke it and then wrote it. So I spoke it into existence through a voice recorder app, and then converted it into an actual Word document, and then work with the developers at the publisher to actually get it finished.
That's awesome. I love that you have the right tools. I actually have a friend who has a disability right now, speech and also physical, and they want to write a book. And thank you for saying that, because now I can give them ideas on how to. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use. It's just a matter of like making sure whoever is editing can actually edit in their own voice and not changing, your thought process of what you're trying to do.
That's why accessibility is so important too. You don't have to do the thing everyone says you have to do the same way. My entire life I was told I have to do things a certain way, but that certain way didn't work for me because of the way I was born. So if I spent my entire life doing things how I was told I need to, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And it's the same thing for you. Maybe you're going through your own journey, you have your own process, your own hardship. Everyone's telling you to do it a certain way. Consider it, but also consider the fact that you might have a separate way. There is no universal fix to an individual problem. So make sure you assess your personal needs without just assuming you're like everyone else.
Yep, I love that. I love that. Mike, who's next? Christine? Do you have any questions, Christine?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm learning to unmute. So I love that your background in terms of at one point in your childhood, obviously, and as a young adult, you went, enough is enough. But what were some of those pivotal moments? Because it takes a lot, having been on a personal development journey for a long time. It takes a lot to go, hold on, especially when we're younger. And I'm teaching young people at the university to go, hold on, enough is enough. I am who I am. I'm gorgeous as I am. And I want to make a change. I want to be who I am. I want to speak up. I want to be myself. Yeah, it's a big thing to actually recognize this and then do it as well.
It's definitely hard because we have romanticized, or I could say we have Disneyfied things like, oh, you should be on this journey and it should take you this long and you should feel this way, and we should ourselves to death. And I did the same thing. I shouldn't be so uncomfortable with my body. I should make this a motivational thing. I should be good to go by now. And if anything, I guilt tripped myself even more into creating resistance to actually changing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do anything. You're not required to do anything. This is your journey. But being honest with yourself is step one. What are you most afraid of? And is it actually true? What I found that I was most afraid of was the way people would respond or the way they would look at me. And I thought that was true for a long time, except that wasn't the actual thing I was afraid of. I was afraid of interpreting how people felt in my own words towards myself. I was afraid of what I would think about myself. It wasn't until I realized that I had to control how I feel about myself, and I have to control the things in my life that I can control, which are my beliefs, my thoughts, my reactions. That's all that mattered, because what other people think of you is not your business. What other people think of you is not your responsibility. You are. You are your own responsibility. And for so long, I put that responsibility on other people. I remember a specific moment where I started hiding my hand, and I tell this story all the time about this girl named Crystal. It was the prettiest girl in school at the time. And unfortunately, I was in a very small Christian school where there was only 3 girls in the class. So one of them was the teacher, and the teacher wasn't Crystal. This girl, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out, and my friends started laughing, and I told them, stop, I turn around, and she's making fun of my hand with a stapler, calling me Clawboy in front of the entire class. She humiliated me, and I shoved my hand in my pocket. And I kept my hand in my pocket for 17 years. For 17 years, I hid my disability, and I pretended like it didn't hurt me, but it damn near killed me. Because my entire life revolved around something I couldn't control. It wasn't until I met another girl who happened to be around 11 years old. I was at an event speaking, and she had just been diagnosed with diabetes. So her and her family spent the entire day with me. And she was just following me around like a puppy. She was so cool. She grabbed my hand when we were walking down this long hallway. And I was terrified. I was petrified because I had hid my hand for 17 years. And she just started swinging my hand. And she's like, it's okay. You don't have to hide around me. And that was like one of those pivotal moments where I was like, damn, 2,000 people are here to hear me speak, but she's the only one who actually saw me. And I was like, if I'm okay, if I'm good enough for her, why am I not good enough for myself? And those questions are that curiosity started to blossom into like action. And that's what I encourage everyone to do when we want to start changing. If you want to start going to the gym, if you want to start a business, if you want to start a podcast, if you want to start doing something differently, you have to cut out the certainty that everything sucks, and you have to develop the curiosity as to how can I make this suck less? What can I do to make this a little bit different? When we replace certainty with curiosity, we give ourselves hope. We give ourselves space to do something different. So if anything from this call, if you take one thing away, cut out the certainty. Oh, I'm going to suck at this. I'm going to fail. I always quit. I always give up. No, that's certain. Take out the certainty. How can this not suck? How can I not quit this time? How can I possibly make this work? What could I do that if I do mess up again, that I could still make it through. That curiosity saved my life. And it started an entirely new life. So it really helps.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And I think with curiosity is also courage. Yeah, we just
It
got to
is.
go. Okay, you know what? I am who I am, and I've got this life. So let's show up the best I can.
Absolutely. And you're not who you're not. You are not lazy. You've had a habit of being lazy in the past, maybe, but that's not who you are. That's just a past habit. So you have to stop being dishonest with yourself by labeling yourself as a habit, because you are who you are, and you can be different at a snap of a finger. You can be different right now, this moment. You don't have to be a prisoner of your past. But if you choose to be, you're going to be that prisoner moving forward. So you get to decide, is your future just repeating the past you don't like, or are you going to give yourself hope and have the courage to be curious to make a new life?
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And I think it comes down to our belief system as well. So let someone else speak. But, you know, when we change our belief system, we can change the world.
Wow. Real quick, and you guys, I got so excited. You know how I get, man. I get excited. Make sure you tell people who you are and what you do real brief, because you guys got a lot. Like Christine, you're a business strategist. You have helped us grow, me personally and in the pack. So thank you. And you have a community. So everybody got to go connect with Christine. She'll put her stuff in the chat. You got to go check it out. You guys need this. All entrepreneurs need what she's got. And now it's affordable. See, when I plug you, it don't feel bad. See, when you plug you, it looks bad. I can do it. See, because I believe in you. So thank you. And Chris, man, you're the most open guy. This is what I mean, man. This is, you really care about folks in the shows. All right, I'm done. Who's next?
April.
April.
Oh, wow. This is just incredible. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Chris. And I'm just looking at all these comments, right, flying off saying, wow, you know, amazing. I never thought of that before. And, you know, being able to shift the script, as you said, becoming more curious about it. And so true, Christine, about the belief systems. I call it the BS, right? I'm not listening to the BS anymore. So my question for you, Chris, is, you know, when did you start public speaking about this? Because you're just, it's effortless for you, and you just speak right from the cuff, right from your heart, and it's beautiful to experience. So when did you start being a public speaker about this?
I appreciate that. I'm surprisingly to a lot of people, I'm definitely much more introverted. So I feel very comfortable on a stage, and I kind of always have. Maybe it started when I was trying to be more competitive to prove to myself that I was good enough, that I could act in theater, or I could play instruments, and I would just adapt. I've always enjoyed being on stage because it kind of created a distance between me and the crowd. The crowd freaked me out, you know? I really started focusing on speaking, though, as a skill over the last 7 years. So I remember getting invited to a nonprofit event for diabetes, and I was invited as a speaker, and I never did that before, but that was like the secret question, you know, what is your dream job? And I was like, I don't know, motivational speaker. I didn't even know what that meant, you know? And I spoke, and everyone loved it. They clapped, you know, it was great. But I knew I could do better. I was like, wow, I really like that feeling of positioning people to change, but I knew I could do better. So, like any skill, I worked on it. I went to Toastmasters. I watched every YouTube video I could. I'd studied different speeches throughout history, different incredible orators, from Martin Luther King to Abraham Lincoln to so many different speakers throughout history, and writers, to see what makes a good speech and what makes a not so good speech. I practiced my craft. And then I found a message that I truly care about, that I feel like could impact people. I love helping people overcome adversity because, let's be honest, adversity is a universal currency. That, combined with my trust in myself, when I'm speaking, I feel like I'm handing someone a $100 bill. If you were handing someone a $100 bill, you wouldn't be nervous. You know the value that you're giving, and you know it can potentially help people. And if they decide to give you that $100 back, that's on them. But you know you're doing something very, very good. That's what I feel like. I'm not selling anything. Like, yes, I have a book. If you buy it, great. If not, that's okay too. If you just listen to words and that helps you, great. If everything I say doesn't benefit you, maybe it's not the right time. Because I know there's times in my life where if I would have talked to myself, if I talked to my 14-year-old self, he would have said some things that I probably can't say on this show, you know? So I trust myself that I truly want to help, and it's okay if it comes out a little messed up, if I flub some of my words, because I know the mission and the intention is there, and the skill and the effort is there too.
Look at all
Thank
them
you.
smiles. That's genuine smile. Yeah, keep going, CJ. I'm gonna grab a Snickers and just watch you run my show. This is too much. I like to watch it. Yeah.
All right, Rochelle, your turn, ma'am.
My turn. Oh my goodness. So, as someone who's gone through great adversity with my own family and understanding the importance of being grounded and raising good, kind people, how did you go through and find the courage to just stay kind and stay grounded for that 17-year journey when you were just hiding yourself?
It's a really good question, and it was something that was very elusive to me because I was trying to find the courage, and I couldn't find it. I didn't know what it looked like. I couldn't find the courage, and I'm sure you've all felt that at some point, whether you're trying to be a better parent or you're trying to build something new or you're trying to change your entire life career wise. You're trying to find courage. And it took me a long time to realize that courage is not found.
Mhm.
It's decided.
Yes, it is.
It's a decision. It's not a feeling, because if it was a feeling, it'd be very uncomfortable. Courage is a choice in the moment. It's the decision to jump in the deep end. It's the decision to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyways. It has no predictor of success or quality. If anything, more than likely, the first time you have courage, you're probably going to suck at the thing you have courage at. The first time I had courage to speak in front of people, I still look at that video and I cringe. I'm like, ugh. The first time I had courage to record a video, half my head is not in the video and it's blurry. You know, if you have the courage to kind of suck a little bit in the beginning, you will be blessed with the courage to keep going, and you will bless yourself with the courage to get better. And the best part is 7 years down the road, everyone is just like, wow, you're so lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. Courage is a choice, and it's a choice to make mistakes in the beginning. So many people have this perfectionism thing, like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. No, don't say that, because perfectionism is just procrastination laced in gold.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Perfectionism is the choice to procrastinate by telling yourself, no, I'm waiting until I'm perfect. Perfect is
Oh, hey,
synonymous with dead in that case,
Yes,
because you're
that's
waiting until you're dead
absolutely.
because you're never going to be perfect. And
oh,
if you're not dead, the idea that you wish would happen will be. So that, to me, courage is a choice. And I'm very thankful that I finally started making the choice.
I love it.
courage
For
before
me,
confidence. Yeah. Look, you gotta have a courage. Look, you're talking to a dude in a camo hat, and y'all don't know this, Chris. Nobody knows this. As soon as I put this hat on by the guy who encouraged me, I got slammed by another guy with a bunch of acronyms. It was unnerving. But you know what? Then I realized I could have wasted 8 hours with that guy, man. This is the best $5 I ever spent, dude. This is a filter system like no other, like a fish tank. So I love what you're saying. I wish I heard that a couple years ago. I could have used some of that advice, but it's absolutely true, man. And great one.
I just want to take a time, YouTube. Thank you. We hit almost 1,600 live viewers on my YouTube channel, so I appreciate you guys. People keep smiling because they're gonna keep coming, okay? And the reason for that is because they want to know how you turn your adversity and your pain into a motivation, right? And a daily basis. So I'm gonna hand this question to Gabe. Bro, bring it.
All right, real quick about me. I am a first of all, I'm a speaker. I'm a father. I am a curator, a creator. a entertainer, and a love enthusiast. These are the things that I am. I breathe this every single day. So, Chris, my question, I go a little bit down different. I'm sorry. I love what you were saying. I love everything that you were sharing. And what I think everybody here has really great questions. My brain, and this is how it works, got stuck on the donut connoisseur thing at the very beginning. I love that because that speaks to the personality of who you are, not just of what you say and what you write. So, number one, what is your favorite donut? And second, how do you feel about dipping your donut in coffee or anything wet? Because I'm a wet bread connoisseur as well. So those are my two questions I got to pose to you because this is just how I roll. I do things differently. I know I'm unique, and I love who I am. There you go. It's all yours.
Okay, so I didn't know we were going to get this deep and philosophical. So I'm a little taken aback, but I do have answers for you. And I'm going to go high level and then low level. High level, the best donut I've ever had is the French toast donut from Donut Bar in Las Vegas, in Old Vegas, specifically. Lower level, a lot of people sleep on really good donuts that they don't even know exist. I'm going to say something that's going to get a lot of hate. Mike, you're probably going to get hate mail, and I'm sorry. You guys don't understand the quality of the blueberry donut from 7-Eleven. I said what I said. You don't understand.
We are on a Mike.
You don't understand. You don't understand. I've been to all these donut shops. There's some really good ones. Duck Donut's incredible. The blueberry donut at 7-Eleven, you're going to try it and be like, oh my God, that robotic arm guy knows what he's talking about. Fantastic. I love donuts. I do not lower the sanctity of my donuts by soggying them up. I truly think that is a disgusting and disrespectful act of blasphemy on your part. But because I recognize the differences in people and I'm very inclusive, I will allow that to exist as long as you try that blueberry donut.
Absolutely. And CJ, you wanted smiles? That's how you bring smiles. I'm done.
Yeah, right. Bring it. Wait. You have to try mochi donut. Don't knock it.
I've never tried mochi donut, but I love mochi personally, so I'm all for it.
Hey, real quick. Hey, Chris, do you know what I call hate mail?
No. What's that?
It's fire starter, man. I love it. I
it works.
Campfire every day.
Yeah, you might have a really big fire right now.
Well, bonfire, but all right. Who's next?
It was Sarah. Sarah Gifford and Willie J.
I got a question for you, Chris. Sounds like you're super busy. What does your typical day look like? And what's your favorite thing that you work on out of all the things that you got going on at any given time?
I love that. So my schedule is really weird. Sometimes I'm super busy. Like I just booked 2 keynotes back to back on the same day. So on one day in November, I'm flying to Columbus, giving a keynote in the morning, then flying to Washington, D.C. and giving a keynote in the afternoon. It's one of my biggest days in terms of total speaking honorarium pay. But a lot of the times I do have downtime. So I'm always pursuing different PR or human interest pieces or building different programs for some of the companies that I do work with. Over the last 2 years, I've probably had the most significant increase in my speaking business, but I did something different. I said, how can I earn the same amount of money or more, but work much less? How can I improve my quality of life without constantly being hustle, 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 go, go, go? By changing my mindset towards that, I got more efficient and effective with what I'm doing throughout my day. I stopped being that lone wolf, do it all by yourself, one man against the world thing, and started hiring teams and outsourcing things that I'm not the best at. It made the world of a difference. So I do have a decent amount of downtime to spend with my fiance. I have a decent amount of downtime to do my hobbies like video and photo. So my favorite thing of all that, though, I would honestly say is when I get to hop on calls, whether it's like this or a podcast or a one-on-one interaction with an organization or with a speaker client, when I get to genuinely connect with people and genuinely talk, because my business is traveling a lot and I'm in front of groups and then I leave, I don't get a lot of personal people time. So I really love to be one-on-one with someone on Zoom and actually talk, or if we do a meetup in person, I love that. So I guess connection truly is my favorite part of what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Something that you said too sparked a quote I heard recently that I love. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
It
So you
really is true. And
got to change. Yeah.
it's tough because everyone wants something to change, but no one wants to change something. We all want to hang out at the finish line without running the race, and we all want to, let's be honest. I would love that. But at the same time, when you learn to love the process more than you learn to love the result from the process, you'll inevitably get the result of the process, and you'll apply that process to a new result.
Mm-hmm.
We get so obsessed with wanting the thing and not understanding if we learn to love the process to get the thing, man, so many more lessons and so many more concepts that you can apply to the rest of your life. Looking backwards, that's what the gym did for me. It was great to build muscle and all that and get strong and break records. That's cool. But what it taught me is how to fail and how to fail forward, so that I never processed a failure as a personal internal attack. It was an outside activity that didn't affect my character. That has enabled me to like fail over and over and over with enthusiasm so that I can keep going, and that's what I try and teach people to do as well.
Yeah, you can't be afraid of that. You got to innovate and you got to fail or you'll never move forward. You got to see what works.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Sarah, you didn't introduce yourself. Like, what do you love? What's your passion? What do you do?
What I do is try to raise money for space missions focused on science and exploration. Those are usually the missions that don't get funding from people because they don't have a commercial ROI. So kind of like Chris, one of my favorite things to do is also to make personal connections. And that's what I'm doing. I'm a matchmaker between a mission that needs money and someone that might want to give money to this mission. And it's so exciting to connect the dots and see who makes the most sense to connect with which mission and like that. So yeah, I just like networking. I like meeting people. I like paying it forward. And I might not need your help with what I'm doing, but I know that I just talked to Chris or Mike or Christine and like, I got to introduce you guys because you guys could have something in common. That's my favorite thing.
I love it. Thank you. All right. Brother Willie, bro, introduce yourself. Don't forget to introduce yourself and ask questions.
Couldn't hear that. Is that me? Is that my
Go ahead.
cue?
That is your cue.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was cutting me off. There was some technical. Chris, man, you're a very inspirational character, brother. And
I appreciate
your resilience and your perspective on courage and in this in a take. Yeah, likewise. It comes off as really genuine and authentic, and that is something that is industry today, right? I help Fashion Entertainment, where when this feature is the #1 fastest growing company. I've spent most of my life in front of cameras, the big stage, forced to sing before hundreds and then before thousands, and with cameras all over the place in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, and Philippines. So my question is going to be about, let me properly introduce myself, like Sis said, right? I'm a Forbes entrepreneur, award-winning entrepreneur, recently featured on a few front covers. And what I've noticed, the biggest struggle that I find in this industry is this thing called imposter syndrome. That one person behind another character behind the camera, in front of the camera, and then behind the scenes, there's somebody else putting on a certain air to appease to a certain avatar. So I'm going to give you a 2-in-1. I'm interested to learn about your perspective on how one could kind of cure or antidote for that monster called imposter syndrome, right? How could one continue to find their voice, finding their voice, and remaining consistent in that authenticity. What is your perspective?
So I struggled with imposter
And
syndrome
then
for
the
a
next question
majority of my.
would be, who is your avatar?
Oh, but
Mm. Yeah, and
Go
the
ahead,
second piece, the main avatar, I can't wait to get away. Who is that avatar? That's the second question. Who's that audience? Who's that target
okay.
audience?
So
as far as your
I struggled with imposter syndrome for a majority of my life, especially as I started to develop my business. And I remember I always struggled with it because I felt like people loved me, but I was like, I didn't really love myself. And I'm like, am I being fake? Like, I don't understand. I'm doing all these cool things. I'm in these magazines. And I'm like, I just feel this disconnect, but everyone loves me, you know? And I remember the first time I talked with a therapist, I asked her, I was like, I just don't get it. Like, I feel like everyone loves me. Like, everyone loves to hear from me and they love hearing this and all that. And she stopped me. She cut me off. She's like, they don't love you. What are you talking about? She said, they don't love you. They love the persona that you put on in front of them. How could they love you when you don't even know who you are? And I was like, damn. And that was like one of those moments where I needed to get like kind of slapped in the face. And she was like, the reason a lot of us feel imposter syndrome is because there's a disconnect between what we truly believe to be authentic and what we're putting out in the world. When you solve that disconnect, then you have to address like, okay, where else might this imposter syndrome be? First step for imposter syndrome always has to be authenticity. If you are always leading with authenticity and you know you're being 100% authentic, but you still feel imposter syndrome, that's where the should game comes in. You feel like an imposter because you've told yourself a story about how life should be. And that's that negative or storytelling that's just not true. I truly believe that everything can be solved with radical honesty within yourself. Radically honest, being so deep and honest with what you're doing, what you're feeling, why you're doing what you're doing, and going back inside to yourself and being like, is this what I truly want, or is this what I've told myself I've wanted for so long that now I feel obligated to keep going? So many people keep themselves stuck and keep themselves feeling like an imposter because they abandoned that goal a long time ago, but they feel so much time is sunk. It's called a sunk cost fallacy, where you've invested so much time into something that you have to see it through, even though you really don't. There is no imposter when you're being authentic and when you're telling yourself an honest story. So that's a huge component. And the avatar for my book, Change, The Art of Changing Course, originally I was like, I really want to help organizations. But then I was like, organizations are made up of people, and people have individual problems. And most of people's problems come with the stories that they're telling themselves and their language that they're using that's keeping themselves stuck. Because the real problem is always a few layers deep. The real problem very rarely is, I'm not good at anything. The real problem is, why am I using absolute language to lie to myself and tell myself I'm not good at anything when in reality I might not be good at 3 things? The real problem is, why am I lying to myself? What am I trying to hide from? What am I scared of? And what am I trying to not feel? It always comes down to authenticity and honesty.
Yeah.
So Simon Sinek always said, start with why. I would challenge that and say, start with honesty. Before we even get to the why, let's be honest with ourselves first. That's kind of my perspective.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it. One quote, you make me think of a quote. What was where it says that you're 1,000 times bigger on the inside than you are on the outside. How many times bigger on the outside? So
I love that.
Can't lose that.
Love it.
Thanks, Chris. Right on.
All right, so we're
Appreciate
going
that.
to move on to Eamon, and then after that, back to Christine, because I know her and I have to go soon. So, Eamon, what's your question for Chris?
Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me well. It's been very inspiring to listen to you tonight, and the amazing part in your story that letting go the self perspective, because sometimes you just see yourself in completely different way than other people sees you. So, my question today is what it feels like to lose control. Just let it go. Let it be. Whatever it takes to be who you are. And I might can say whatever it costs. Because I think authenticity comes with cost, right? Comes with price. So whatever the cost can be, when did you really understood and what is the highest cost you paid for your authenticity? Because we go
So
through challenges and sometimes you think, what if I lost everybody? What if I lost this or that? So I think it's going to be more than um, accepting, right?
so I think what's funny is people who say they're control freaks or like I also wanted to control so much. Control is really out of desperation. And that desperation to control, in reality, we can't control anything. We can't control what other people think or what they feel. We can try and influence what they say, but at the end of the day, you really can't know what anyone else thinks of you. You really can't know what anyone else feels. Even if they tell you they feel a certain way, this is a little bit of a cynic take when we're talking about philosophy, but you really don't know what the people even closest to you think or feel. You have to take them at their word or at their action. So if we can't control it, we can't focus on it because it's like investing into a situation that you know is going to lose. One of my favorite philosophers has a saying, his name's Seneca, and he said, the thought or imagining something is much worse than the actual thing itself. We often suffer in imagination far more than we do reality. Letting go is not even really letting go because it was never yours to hold in the beginning. When you let go of control, you never had control in the first place, so you have no right or privilege to let go. What you're actually doing is existing effectively now. You're existing in a way that you can affect, that you can touch, that you can change. When you choose to let go, what you're really choosing is to be honest with what you have tangible and effective to you, which are your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. You never had control. You just finally decided that that's true. So letting go, it sounds nice, but in reality, you're just deciding to finally be honest with yourself. When I decided to be honest with myself and say what other people think is not my business, trying to control people is not possible, let alone not reasonable. Why am I so focused on trying to control everyone else, but not doing the things I need to be doing to live a better life? Because in reality, I could ask everyone on this call and everyone watching, what is one thing that you know if you started doing today differently, your life would be 100 times better? You know exactly what that is. So the real question is, if you're such a control freak, why don't you start controlling that? Why don't you start doing that? That's my real question to you. And I had to answer that for myself. And now I'm okay with not being in control because I never was.
Preach, my brother. Preach, 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 preach.
Thank you. And my question was just not controlling people as much as controlling your reaction responses about what other people think.
Oh, so I can follow up on that too. So there is a space between what happens and what you decide to do. And when that space is very short, you don't have much time to choose. There are people who react and there are people who respond. Reaction is kind of like when the doctor taps your knee and your leg goes up. It's just pure subconscious, you're just visceral reaction. A response is chosen and calculated. Most people don't give themselves enough time to respond, so they just react. And that reaction is purely emotional. The goal is not to remove emotion from life, it's to domesticate it that it doesn't control your life. If your emotion is driving your life, you are no longer driving your life, and that's a problem. When you're more intentional with what you decide to do with information that comes to you, you have better responses. And let's be honest, better inputs equal better outputs. So when an event or a stimulus happens, it's up to you to interpret it. Most of the time, though, picture blue lenses over your face, everything's going to look blue. We all have these lenses from our past experiences, growing up, life, childhood, all of that. And those lenses can affect how we see things, thus how we interpret things. Make sure you are willing to be honest with yourself enough to remove those lenses and look from a third-party perspective, or even ask someone, maybe in the Hounds, ask someone to give you their perspective unbiased. Because a lot of times, if we react based on those lenses, we confuse feelings with facts, and not all feelings are facts. Honesty is the decipher tool that you need to distinguish between what you feel and what is true, because not all feelings are true. So that's kind of the follow-up to that.
Wow.
I
Hey,
really,
see,
I really appreciate it.
you see me Vanna White. See, Vanna White. That's what I'm talking about, man. Look, you drove off the cliff 16 times, and I wish I'd have known that, because you would have kept me from jumping off. Everything that you just said, I had to learn the hard way. So don't do it the hard way, right? Go tap in, learn from people. Amateurs do stuff alone, Chris. I was an amateur for 41 years. And then I realized, hey, top level pros, they have coaches, athletes, right? People at the top of their game have multiple coaches. And that's the calling card. Man, find a guide, learn, but you got to do the work. And I love what you said earlier about personal responsibility. Man, when I did that, when I was like, hey, dogs bark, cats meow, and people. All right, I got to do me. If somebody's doing something in my life I don't like, I got to figure out how to change it, right? It's like you hear somebody say, oh, they push my buttons. Take the daggone buttons off then. Like that's the inner work you've done, man. And all the people up here at some point in time have done that work. And the folks in the comments, man, you could tell, like, this is fire. All right, so what we got? Christine, you got to leave, or you got a question?
Yes,
well, I
and
have to
thank you
go, so I'm
so.
just gonna say bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you, guys. Love
Bye.
you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Just as I leave, stay in. Okay, bye. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Uh,
So first of all, your last answer around control, wow, it hit home, and this is definitely the journey I've been on myself, and that reaction of learning to take time out before I react. It's a big thing. My final question before I go is, I recently became a university teacher, and I must say I absolutely love it
Congratulations.
because
That's incredible.
thank you. And I love it because I get a chance to actually perhaps give something back to 19, 20-year-olds, yeah? And I teach collaboration and innovation, and it includes a lot of self-awareness, which I'm really excited about, and personal development. But they're 19 to 20-year-olds. Most of them haven't really gotten there yet, because I was 40 before I started as well. What would be I'd love to ask you, what would be your advice to me as a teacher in terms of how can I wake them up to see the personal power and their worth? Because I add a lot of extra motivational stuff into it to help them kind of see you're worthy. It's okay. The innovation process is like a personal development journey. You got to fail forward, like you said.
So language is such a huge part of my book and what I teach. I truly believe language is one of the first steps in self-awareness. The language we use often keeps us stuck. It keeps us repeating patterns and habits. And there is a lot in actual developmental psychology, something called the default mode network, which is just the rumination process that's constantly running in the background subconsciously. Take ChatGPT, for example. If you put a bad input or a bad prompt into it, you're going to get a bad prompt out of it. So many of us are putting bad prompts into our own head, and we're expecting a good action to result from it. So when teaching self-awareness, maybe for you as a teacher, something to add, and I don't doubt that what you're doing is already incredible. Maybe it's to ask just more questions. I loved when I went from being told what to do to being asked what I think, and asking questions that make people really think. Saying things like, is that true? Do you feel like that helps you or hurts you? Would you be proud of this action or this thought looking back a year from now? Would you suggest the same thing you're doing to someone you love who's going through the same problem? When I frame these kind of Socratic questions to myself and to people, I find that people start to wake up and they're like, oh, well, no, I wouldn't tell someone I love to do that because that's a terrible idea. And I'm like, okay, do you feel like that's appropriate for you now? Well, maybe not. Now, those questions help people come to realizations by themselves. And what I've realized, my degree is in exercise science, but I do know something very specific about contact sports. If I push against you, your natural reaction is to push back. So when I tell you to do something, as a parent, as a teacher, a student or a kid is likely to push back, just to oppose out of the sheer goal of opposition, you know? But what happens if I positioned you to come up with it all on your own? Now it's an internal, almost inception. To me, that changed my life, and it changed a lot of the ways that I help people, because I used to think I could tell you how smart I am. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I will say that one more time for everyone. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And the only way to show someone that you actually care is by taking interest in who they are and how they feel and what they're going through. And the only way to do that is through questioning. Not interrogation, but questioning to show them that you care. So that's my take on that.
I love that. Thank you so much. And it's actually helped me teach better, because it's all about getting them to actually communicate and me for listening to them so they feel heard and seen.
I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here today, Mike. Thank you for the invite. I've got to go, but thank you so much. I really loved this. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you, Skippy, for not chewing on the internet wires. You did great today. Appreciate you. Good job. Skippy the kangaroo out in Australia. All right. So let me so I want the audience to chime in, and you guys on the panel. Chris, if you're okay, because hey, I can't believe it's October. Dadgummit, it blows my mind. So we're coming up to the new year, and I'm not the type of dude that likes to do planning. Like, I want to start now. Like, it's already 2025. I'm getting a head start. So what's your perspective here, right? I think you've made it from the ground up, right? You built from dirt. You can't even burn dirt, man. That's why I love you so much. So what's your secret to staying, quote, motivated or going through it during tough times, right?
Well,
especially when it comes to goal setting.
I'm gonna be super honest with everyone. I am not motivated all the time, man. I love me some Netflix. I love me some donuts. I love me some self-pity. It's nice. It feels good sometimes. The question is not like, how do you stay motivated? It's how do you stay disciplined to do the shit you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it? That's the reality. That's the reality. How do you develop the discipline? And discipline is a choice, a single choice repeated over time. When faced with the choice of like, do I just sit on the couch or do I go for that run? I don't want to go for that run, but I do it anyways. I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to go anyways. I don't want to send those emails out, but I'm going to send them anyways. Acknowledge the feeling of not wanting to do the thing, but follow it up with an action and commit to the action. It's okay to feel as long as your feelings don't control your actions, because a lot of times feelings will take you in the opposite direction of where you want to go. Goal setting has to be, I hate how cliche it is, but it's true, the SMART goals thing. You do have to have some sort of like specific, measurable, attainable, all that. But in reality, what you really need is an emotion attached to the goal. And I'll take you through this. And this is what I did when I used to have a fitness business. I had a 6-figure fitness business online with clients all around the world. I love that, but I dropped that because I wanted it for people more than they wanted it for themselves. And I hated have to constantly hustle. And I love fitness, and I didn't want to turn that into more work after a few years. So when I used to go with clients, I would ask them, what's your goal? And everyone would say the same damn thing. I want to lose weight. And I would say, no, you don't. And they're like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, if you lost 50 pounds, but you look the same, would you be happy? And they say, well, no. I was like, okay, so you don't want to lose weight. You want to look like you lost weight. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's also not true. And they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, if you looked like you lost weight, but you still feel exactly the same way you do right now, would you be happy? And they're like, well, no. I was like, so what you're truly after is a feeling that would make you what? Feel proud, excited, happy, confident. You're after a feeling. When you attach a goal to a feeling or a situation or a future visualization of how that experience will make you feel, you're much more likely to stick to it. If you go through my book, you'll see that having the awareness in the language, that's a huge portion. But if you take a person who has a goal, writes the goal down, and we go through this statistically, having a goal is like 5% likelihood to accomplish that goal. 15% likelihood to accomplish that goal if you write it down. There's a few other steps that come into play that I have in my book, but towards the end, the person who has an accountability partner and checks in with them weekly is 95% more likely to achieve that goal than the person who just has the goal itself. So not only do we need to attach an emotion to that goal, but having an accountability partner, maybe someone in the Hounds, pick one specific person, tell the group, broadcast it to the group, make your problem public, and make that public to a small group, whether it's one person or one small group, and hold yourself accountable to that. That's the kind of stuff that really helps you attach effort to a very specific goal.
That's a great answer. And oh, I gotta spill the beans. I put back in the chat, in the private chat, smile before I tickle y'all. April almost lost it, Rochelle almost lost it, and Sarah frowned harder. So
That's
I'm not
beautiful.
sure what
I
that was
love that.
about.
I love that.
Just, and that's my cue. More people will leave. I'm like, why are people leaving? I'm just calling you out. I mean, on live stream, right? There's no problem. So what do you all think? Chime in. Rochelle, you got thoughts on this? Like goal setting, getting back on
Yes.
the horse. What do you think?
Mhm.
Because you've been there 1,000 times. Go ahead.
Yes. I think the hardest thing is being honest to yourself and saying, sometimes you need to pivot, even though you have that goal. It may be out of reach, but as Chris was saying, discipline and hard work don't come easy. And sometimes you need to keep your eye on the prize and stay focused, even when everybody else isn't looking. Because what you do in the dark makes a difference to what you do in the light. And that just means that you are your true self and you're doing your life's purpose and what you want to do. If you're there for the wrong reasons, for fame or look at me, this is who I am, it's not sustainable, it's not lasting. But if you're still doing that work when everybody else has gone away and nobody else is looking and you're in those trenches and still doing it, yeah, you got something special. That's a goal you will achieve. And it doesn't matter if you've got a cheering chorus or just one person shouting you on, you're going to get it done. And sometimes, as Chris said, you're bringing hostages with you. So, but if it's that goal that you need to do, you just keep going.
I think we tend to tell ourselves things are harder than they actually are.
Mhm.
We like to take a huge goal and talk about how hard it is to get to the finish line, but we don't take that same goal and talk about how easy it is to do step one.
Just start.
Whether you're running the Boston Marathon or you are getting up to go to your refrigerator, both involve a single step repeated over time, and we tell ourselves this huge thing. If I can't do it all at once, I won't do it at all. What? Like, that's literally the equivalent of if my tire goes flat, I'll set the entire car on fire. Like, who are you really teaching a lesson in this case? We got to really ask, like, why are we defeating ourselves by making small progress and instead choosing to do nothing because we can't do everything? That's not really effective.
Bingo. Look at that. All right. Fire at will. Ooh, we done got rid of other people. I don't know where they went. I only saw 2 leave, but now 3's gone. Oh, Gabe had to go.
You had to go.
We give a shout out to Gabe Leal for his LinkedIn. He has a guide. Go to Gabe Leal's profile. He's got a guide that shows all the great live streams, so you can go find what works for you, content, tag people. Brilliant, man. He's been talking about that forever, and I'm so glad he launched it. And he promoted this very heavily, so we appreciate him. Good guy. All right. Who wants to chime in? Who's been quiet? Willie J, you've been quiet. Sarah, somebody talk.
Yeah. I like what Chris. I like what Chris was saying about goals and discipline. We all know that it definitely takes discipline and a certain level of drive. Me being a certified Maxwell leader coach and stuff, I try to teach clients about, especially as of lately. Here's my question about outcomes, right? We're in an outcome-driven society, right, Chris? And like people are freaking out about certain outcomes. And I have this little theory, like if you take that word backwards, you come out. So what would be, I'm very interested in your perspective on how does one, stay goal-driven, driven with their goals to whatever level that may be. It's different measures for certain people. We know it takes discipline, but what would you tell, what would be your advice for people who struggle with outcomes and coming out, as a way of coming out, staying detached and yet attached to the grand scheme of things in the bigger picture? What would be your?
Well, first, attach yourself to the work, not the result. And second, if you're going to obsess over outcomes, make the outcome at a micro level, not a macro level. Instead of obsessing, let's take my speaking business, for example. If I would have obsessed on getting to where I am now, I'm obsessing over getting $15,000 to speak. I need to get $15,000, $15,000. Every single time I get paid to speak, that's not $15,000, I consider that a loss. In that scenario, okay? Let's take someone who's losing weight. I need to lose 50 pounds. You lose 1 pound, fail. You lose 10 pounds, fail. You lose 30 pounds, fail. You go to the gym for 365 days, that's 365 days of failure. Damn, that sucks. Now, imagine we change the outcome that we're focused on. Let's say the outcome is to get paid to speak. Every time I get paid to speak, win. Let's say the outcome is going to the gym today. Outcome, go to the gym. What did you do? Go to the gym. Win. That's 365 days of winning. That's 1 pound, that's a win. That's 10 pounds, that's a win. That's 30 pounds, that's a win. I much prefer to set goals where I win regularly on a micro level in the pursuit and process of getting to the macro level. If you're going to obsess on the outcome, make the outcome attainable on a daily and or weekly basis. If you have a goal that can only be attained once, you're going to fail every other day because you're setting yourself up for failure. I think it was Mark Manson who said, the desire to be happy is a negative experience. The desire for something you don't have is already a negative experience. We're acting out of removal, something we don't have. What happens if we could appreciate the process in the pursuit of more? That way we're always winning on the journey to win bigger. Win now and win bigger. Yeah. Why do you have to choose?
Love that.
Wow.
Just be consistent, so basically. Just stay consistent. Yeah.
Stay consistent. And in my book, I talk about a 1 degree shift. If you took a flight from LAX to Milan, Italy, and the flight shifted by 1 degree, you could end up in Tunisia in Africa or in Austria, just by a 1 degree shift. If you make 1 degree shift in your life, 1 degree of consistency, 1 degree of work, 1 degree of better language, 1 degree of accountability, that's enough to create a massive shift over time. And if you feel comfortable, do 2 degrees. Go crazy, but it doesn't take as much as you think. Stop defeating yourself before you try, and stop quitting before you give it enough time to work.
Yes.
Love it. Love that. That's awesome. Awesome.
Wow. So we would keep Chris till midnight, but he's been working. He's been working 24/7, man. Like. All right. Hey, Sarah, do you have question, comment?
Yeah, I just one thing I keep hearing Chris say in a lot of different ways is that you can do it if you put your mind to it. You can succeed at what you do. But I think what you said indirectly too is everybody else wants you to succeed also. So you can't control what other people think about you, but I can guarantee you, unless you're like the Joker or something, everyone wants you to do well, whether you're speaking on a stage or whether you're starting a business or whether you're changing careers or whether you're, going through something horrible like a divorce or a spousal death or something like that. Everybody wants you to succeed. So A, don't be afraid to ask for help. And B, know that you can do it. Like, you're your own worst enemy. And I feel like that's what you've been saying over and over, Chris. And I think that's a big part of overcoming adversity, changing your course and all that. So I just want to support that and know that you have people out there that will support you also. I mean, everybody wants you to do well, then everybody does well. The rising tide raises all boats.
I love that. And adding to the point you made of like, people are willing to help, who in here hates helping people? Probably no one. You know the feeling you get when you help someone and it actually works out and you're like, oh, they're so thankful and they're so appreciative, and how good do you feel? But how crazy is it when we flip the script and you go to ask someone for help? You're like, no, they don't want to help me. They hate helping. They don't like that.
Exactly.
You know exactly what it's like to help people. So why are you denying they're feeling good if they can help you? Why are you pretending like you know how they feel? Why aren't you worth the same help that you're willing to give everyone else? That's the real problem. And that's the language we got to solve.
That's good. Good stuff. The real deal, man.
Sure is. Yeah, it's spoken with experience, man. That's what I mean. Like, a couple of years ago, I said, that sounds nice, but boy, I done ran off the cliff. Like, I know this is like, he's a couple miles ahead of me. I'm on the same path, right? Like the self-awareness. It's like saying I'm not a morning person. It's like, look, then if I'm going to get to my goal and not sacrifice my family time or working out, then I'm going to have to become a morning person, right? Like the limitations we set on ourselves. I'm amazed. 40 years of, I could have done it. I just didn't want to. I had to be honest. I had to look in the mirror and say, you're just kind of lazy. Right? You want it, but you don't want it. If you did, you would be doing it, right? And getting out of bed when it's raining outside, that kind of stuff. Man, I get it. I love it. So, all right, April, you have something to chime in because you're so quiet, but you're wise. Right? That's why you don't talk much.
I am just soaking this in. This is all good. And I love how Gabe asked about putting, soaking the donuts in coffee. And Chris is like, no, because Gabe was talking about that on another live event. So I had to laugh about that. Love this conversation. And my question for you, Chris, is as I'm listening, as Sarah said, noticing just these undertones of our discussion here about acceptance, about the psychology and philosophy. There's a lot of emotional intelligence in here too. So who is your biggest motivator? Or you'd mentioned Seneca, philosopher Seneca, who has made the most impression on you in having this mindset?
So one of the books that really changed my life was The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. That book is incredible, and I think for anyone going through any sort of struggle is an incredible takeaway on concepts of overcoming adversity. Introduced me to Stoicism a little bit, the type of philosophy that I really align with. Brianna Weiss also has a book called 101 Essays That'll Change the Way You Think. Those are my two favorite authors. But in reality, the biggest impact I've had from people are all the kids along the way. I have a story, which is weird because I don't have kids myself, but I started off speaking to kids, and just their raw authenticity, and it's not even vulnerability because it's just how they exist. Seeing that bright light go off in a kid's head, whether they have a disability or a disease that I, spoke to them about, seeing them find the light in their life when it wasn't really there before, to me, is everything. So there's so many kids that I've worked with, whether personal training or speaking to, that have changed the way I look at life. And I almost used to be jealous of like, man, I wish I had that vigor or that confidence at that age, you know? But I'm so proud of them. And I've kept in touch with a lot of them and their families. Those kids have the biggest motivation to me. There's no real person that I look at and I'm like, I'm motivated by you. It's cool and all, but to me, that's everything.
That's awesome.
Man, Willie J, we met your match, bro. He's cooler than a ceiling fan too.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, he's the dude.
Yeah.
He's the guy, man. And his
I
passion,
appreciate
look
all
at
of
me.
you.
is crazy.
I really appreciate all of you. And like I truly speak from experience, and I've messed up more times than I could count, you know, business wise, yes, but also personally and mentally. And I've been down the darkest roads when it comes to mental health and trying to solve that with the worst possible things that you could try and solve it with. And I've been to hell and back more times than anyone should in their life. So when I speak, I really speak from a perspective of, hey, I can't force you to do this. I can only help you as much as you're willing to help you, whether that's I'm speaking to an organization or to you personally right now. I believe what I say. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe my perspective's not for you, but I know what it's done for me and I know what it's done for other people. So I will say it till I'm blue in the face, and that's it, because I believe what I do.
That's why you're a trusted guide, right? Somebody, especially if you're in uncharted territory. You know, if you go to the Appalachian Trail and you never hiked before and you're not prepared, you're gonna get eaten by bears, fall off cliff. So again, this is why, like, go to chrisruden.com. He's got tons of resources. He's everywhere. He's got this book, and this book, I love it. And I hate to read, I love to learn. So I'm actually almost done with the thing. And it's really a good manual. It's really to get yourself unstuck, have that courage before confidence. And I mean, you've got a lot of resources helping people become keynote speakers, how to do it. We've heard you time and time again. So we're not done yet. We're going to ask the final question, then we're going to wrap. But I want to make sure you guys know, hey, go out there and connect with Chris. This is the real deal. We appreciate you. And by the way, no strays out there. You see who we running with. All right. Hey, don't build the business by yourself. Don't go out there without the support and the resources. Well, I can't afford anything. Fine. Come in here for free. And then when you grow, scale up, invest in the next level, right? So, hey, join the Redneck Camelot. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. We built this for heart-centered, high-level professionals. You have an impact to make in this world, and it's a dadgum shame. How many things do we complain about? And there's people who could do something about it. That's what we exist for. Come in here, get pushed up, get supported, get the resources, and dadgummit, go change the world. Even if it's this much of the world, hey, I'm telling you, compound effect. You're looking at it right here. All right. So, guys, appreciate you. We're going to close on this last question. And I just think it's a fun question. It just came out. So, what is your favorite book? 20 seconds or less. We'll start with Rochelle. What is your favorite book and why? You could go too, but don't get crazy now. I know half y'all say Bible or something. So, but you
no, although that should have been one, but no, that wasn't it. It's actually a book by Whoopi Goldberg that talks about a young girl going through puberty, coming from grade 2, going through grade 5. It is funny as all get out. I can't remember the name, but I read it to both my daughters when they were at that age, as they learned to be more comfortable in their skin. You know, every child has the confidence to be who they are. It's already built in. It's the parents saying, hey, no, don't do that. You're about to make a bad decision, but I'll let you. But and so it is just learning that as you emerge into the world and leave the comfort of your home to start school and making new friends and just stepping right out, that it's okay to be you. It's okay to do you. Everybody's going to be different. So yeah, the Bible has a lot to teach us, but I found that book by Whoopi Goldberg really, really, really interesting.
That's going to be a short. The Bible and Whoopi. All right. Yeah, we're going to hear it all in the Hounds of Business. I ain't judging. I think
well, I'm looking in the comments. I got a few agreements here.
Hey, I love it. I'm going to pop them up. Audience, come on now. Don't be shy. What book do you like? See, there it is. All right. Sarah, you've just been so noisy today. Go ahead. What is your favorite book?
It's so unusual. Well, I have a hard time narrowing it down to one. I mean, I read a lot of sci-fi when I was a kid, and that's kind of what got me interested in space. But one book that stands out from kind of a innovative and personal perspective is To Infinity and Beyond, which is the story of Pixar. It's a really good example of not knowing what you don't know could lead to a huge success because you're not buried in, well, everyone's always done it this way, so this is the way we're going to do it. It's a bunch of innovative people that got together and shared, and no egos, well, mostly no egos involved, which made them create an incredible studio and incredible products. That's really inspiring to me.
Oh, I better be careful. You see Lady Drew? She said, I like Whoopi. You better be careful, redneck. Hey, I love Whoopi too. I watch Sister Act at least once a week because my wife makes me. All right. And because I'm a smart man. All right. April, can't wait to hear you. What's your book?
Go guys for a loop. The Little Red Hen. That's my favorite book.
Nice.
Little Red Hen, and I'm learning to sit down and eat the bread, right? Because we do and we do and we do and we ask for help, like Chris was saying, that is perfect, right? Ask for help. People want to help us, but in the Little Red Hen, nobody wants to help until she's ready to sit down and eat the bread. But I'm learning in life that I never sat down to eat the bread, that I kept going and going, helping other people. So it's a double lesson there. Little Red Hen. It's a golden book, children's book.
It's my kind of book. It's got pictures and it's short. Yes. Yeah, I will. Hey, Chris, write a children's book so I can get through it quicker, man. That's what
I got you. Next one, I got you.
Give a wagon wheels or something in there. I mean, I'll sell that out in 2 seconds. All right. Willie J, what's your favorite book? Just got to pick one. That's tough.
Okay, just one. Okay, outside the Bible. Okay, cool. Let's go with Leadership.
Right.
Man. Leadership by John Maxwell. Reason I love that book is it teaches you about the nuances of leadership as far as having adaptability, always being willing to shift and to place value on that shift, that mental shift, and that shift of shifting your team, your staff, those people that you're called to lead, whether it be via clients or, like as I said before, a particular staff. So it's constantly talking about being willing and being courageous, as our brother Chris said, it being a choice. You decide to shift. You see the value and the why behind why you should shift. So leadership, as of lately, the last few years, has been my new favorite. Yeah, sure.
You already got fans, man. People are like, oh, yep. Hey. All right. Last but not least, exclude me. Eamon, all right. And you are out there in Egypt. It is what, like 2 a.m.? Wow, you are so awesome. Thank you so much.
It's 40 a.m. So
wow.
Yeah, but I had to be here.
I appreciate you, honestly. That's incredible.
Thank you so much. Well, that's the kind of discipline that you spoke about. Whatever your goal is, just show up one step at a time. It makes a huge difference. The Compound Effect is one of my favorite books, but for choosing one, I'm going to go to Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, because it unfolds all together. The leadership, the mindset, the growth mindset, how to just take people easily, because a lot of us, especially when we face people face to face or in speaking gigs or something like that, or whatever your profession is, you're going to be dealing with people. So unfolding all of that in just 2 words: deal with people as they are, just people. Whatever their position is, whatever their authority is, it's going to be just people. So speaking from this point, it makes everybody confident, and they listen openly. So that's one of my favorites, actually. Thank you for being here, Chris, and thank you for every thing that you said. You brought amazing perspectives to the table, and I really can't wait to hear from you again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I have to go. And by the way, Tyrell, also known as Stack Pack, he's basically me on Clubhouse and other channels. So Eamon is with his community, and we've been talking and working together slowly. So thank you for being here. Hey, if we're gonna make a huge impact of 1 million people in 3 years, we can't do it alone. You don't think I could do it? I could barely find this hat. All right, we're gonna find other birds of a feather, and we're gonna work together. We're gonna go exponential, man. I'm no longer playing. All right, and if I was after Chris, now I gotta go, right? Like now I gotta go after it. So what's my favorite book? Thanks for asking, April. Y'all already knew I was gonna do that. Y'all seen it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, did y'all hear?
I didn't even
Y'all hear it?
pay him to do that. That's crazy.
No, this is the most humble guy, man. He gets like, oh, y'all stop it. Hey, look, people know me. If I don't like it, I just don't say nothing. Like I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't like it. Like there's another book over here. I love it. I can't wait to go crazy. Because I mean, there's millions of books, but there's only one of Chris. You know, like it doesn't mean people are right or wrong. It just means I can relate to this. You know, I'm very empathic. I went through a lot, you know, and just coming up from nothing. It took me 20 years just to get where a lot of people are just born at. You know, like I can relate to this stuff, and it's nice to understand. Hey, there is a formula. You know, you can figure this out. So other than this book, which you should scan the QR code, we'll make them blush some more. I would have to say, other than the Bible, The Art of War. Like I was a strange kid. The worst. So I went to our public library, which was not big in the country, right? And they had a Eastern philosophy section. I've read everything else, and I was like, what the hell? And it blew my mind. They don't think like we do. Ancient philosophy is wild. So I just picked it up, and I realized, you know, over the time, you know, there's a difference between acting like a chess piece on a board and zooming out as a chess master. A lot of the things that we look at and say, oh, that's the way it is. It's not really. It's assumed, right? Well, I mean, look at the ultra marathons. Nobody thought you could run 200 miles straight until somebody accidentally did it because they didn't tell the goat herder that he couldn't, right? Think about it. He didn't know the rules. He just thought, hey, I just run. So I love that. I love the concept of looking at things objectively, taking emotion out of it, and just trying to say, hey, you know, here's how I feel like I should act, but how should I act for long-term success, right? How should I act for the best interest of others, right? So it's stopping and saying, hey, Mike the man might want to act goofy, but Mike the leader might want to think about it, right? And that we're just thinking about stuff, taking the time out. And I'm with you. I used to hate Stoic philosophy, and now I love it. I can't get enough Stoic philosophy. It really tempers, you know, that aspect of me. So guys, I love this discussion. It was fantastic. Chris, you got any final parting words? Are you good, brother?
Yeah, final parting words of this. One, you know, you're truly one decision away from getting unstuck and living a slightly better life. And you're another decision away from living an even better life. And those small steps can lead to the life you would never imagine. And I can say that from personal experience. So whether you get my book, you talk with groups like this in the Hound, or you just put yourself out there to live life a little bit differently, I promise you there are options and different ways to up-level your life. I promise. Second thing is, anyone who's on this fireside chat who was actually on video, you know, how many people did we have total before the people dropped out?
10.
I'm personally going to give each of you guys like a free hour call with me if you want to take it, whether it's for speaking business. You know, I charge $500 an hour just to work with people. So anyone who took the time to be on this call, ask me questions, I appreciate you. Eamon, you know, it's 3:40 in the morning and you're doing this. All of you took your time out. So I appreciate everyone who even watched this, but you guys really stepped up and like gave me time. And it's something I wish I would have had the opportunity when I first started. So it's my job to give back and be the person I never had growing up. So each of you feel free to use that. If you want to use that call with me, I'll honor that. And I appreciate you all, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Chris.
Chris.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome,
No,
bro.
thank you, Chris.
It's a blessing. Thank you.
Of course.
Oh, now Sarah's smiling. Okay, that's what it took. All right. Yeah, I don't blame her. All right. So, all right, you guys are great. Hey, catch us next week. I can't remember what's on the schedule. It's always fun, though. Just show up. And again, no strays. No strays. Don't do this by yourself. It's hard. All right. Be around people who push you up, support you, and all boats rise. And I love it. See, Chris is good. Chris made it, and he's making it heavier, and he's going up the hill, but he reaches back and pulls people with him. That's the tenet of the Hounds, guys. Love it. Hey, we got your food bowl ready, Chris. All right, you ready to go, man?
Sounds good with me.
Hold on, one more thing.
All right.
Like, there is somebody on this call that needs our communities. His name is Steve Stavis. He's got 6 beautiful babies, and he was just laid off, and I love him to death. I know him personally. He is an amazing person. If you need somebody that is a Microsoft administrator or anything, find him. He's on here. Link up with him. Give him some work. Just love him to death. Just pour that love out on him, because he is really the real deal. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that. And connect with me. Hey, we'll do all we can. Find us on YouTube, Hounds of Business. You can find us on LinkedIn and also Carrier Pigeon, right? So guys, we'll tune out. I appreciate you. And hey, appreciate all of you guys. You make the pack special. So we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
7 p.m. Wave, everybody.
Hey,
Princess wave.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
The Queen's
I got to
way.
find the buttons.
Here, bro.
Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.